We welcome the judges, participants, and all the viewers on YouTube to the day's next event, Tell a Tale. In this event, the participants have to narrate a story with props. I am Shreya Bharadwaj, Vice Captain of the Uranus House.
Yes, I am ready to listen to all the wonderful stories. I am Mehak Gupta, Captain of Uranus House. The rules of the events are time limit 3 minutes. Anyone exceeding the time limit will be disqualified. At the end of 2 minutes, a short bell will be rung, and at the end of 3 minutes, a long bell will be rung. Reading from the script will invite disqualification. Gestures are permitted. Use of props is permitted. Use of slang words and words from other languages is not permitted. The judges for today are Mrs. Anuradha, and Mrs. Kubali.
Welcoming you all to this event, eagerly waiting to hear wonderful stories from each one of you. All the best, children. Do well.
Good afternoon, everybody. All the best to all of you for today's performance, and I'm sure all of you will give your best shot. All the best.
So let's get started with today's event. Our first participant for today is Anagha MG of 4A.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Anagha. I'm from 4th Standard A section. Today I'm going to tell a story. The Cracked Pot. Once upon a time, there was a water bearer. He had two large pots. One was cracked, the other was perfect. After a long walk from the stream to the master's house, the cracked pot arrived with half water and the perfect pot arrived with full water. This went on for 2 years. The cracked pot was ashamed of itself, but the perfect pot was proud of itself. Then one day, the cracked pot spoke to the water bearer. It said, "I am ashamed of myself." The water bearer said, "What are you ashamed of?" The cracked pot said, "From past 2 years, I am able to deliver only half of my load because of this crack. Water leaks all the way to the master's house, and because of me, you won't get fully paid." The water bearer said, "Oh, don't worry. I want you to notice all the beautiful flowers while going to the master's house." So the cracked pot noticed all the beautiful wild flowers were shining in the brightness of the sun. The cracked pot was a bit satisfied, but still sad. Then the water bearer said, "Did you notice that there were only flowers in your side, not the other side? I was always known your mistakes. So I planted flower seeds on your side, and while going and coming, you watered these flower seeds, and I decorate my master's house with these beautiful flowers." The cracked pot was happy. So the moral of the story is, everyone have their own faults and unique flaws. Without these cracks or faults, our life would be boring or not interesting. We have to appreciate all the different peoples in our life and find good in them. Thank you.
That was very impressive. Our next participant for the day is Shravya Chakravarti of 4A. Our next participant is Hiranya Manjunatha of 4B.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hiranya. I'm going to tell a story. The Magic Porridge. Once upon a time, there lived a pig called Joji Pig. He was going to the forest. He went inside the forest and saw a house. He went inside the house and saw a table. On the table, there was a bowl of soup. He drank it all. Yum, yum, yum. Suddenly, Baby Bear came and said, "Oi, did you drink my magic porridge?" Joji Pig said, "Yes. That is magic porridge. You will grow very, very big." So Joji Pig began to grow. He grew, and he grew. He was taller than the trees. Now Baby Bear said, "End of this world, there's a treasure, but I am too small to get there." So Joji Pig said, "I will carry you there." Georgie Pig walked, walked, and he walked. He crossed trees, he crossed mountains, he crossed oceans, and finally he reached the end of the world. And there was a dragon that breathes fire, roar, but it wasn't friendly dragon. And Georgie Pig began to shrunk. He shrunk and he shrunk and he shrunk. Now Baby Bear asked, how are we going to get home? The dragon said, I will carry you there. So Georgie Pig and Baby Bear hopped on the dragon's back and flew happily after all. The end. Thank you.
That was splendid. Judges, please note that Shravya Chakravarti is absent. Our next participant for today is Pranav V. Rao of 4B.
Hello, my name is Pranav. I am going to tell it. Its name is Bhima versus Bakasura. One day, after the wax palace was burnt, the people of Hastinapur thought the Pandavas were killed and Mother Kunti were killed. So the people of Hastinapur were in deep sorrow. Dhritarashtra, the uncle of Pandavas and the king of Hastinapur, was very worried and too sad. Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra were very happy. But the Pandavas and Mother Kunti were saved from a minister called Vidura and then lost in the jungle and didn't want to go to Hastinapur. After walking a distance about 2 kilometers, they reached a sage called Veda Vyasa. Mother Kunti and Pandavas greeted the sage Veda Vyasa. Sage Veda Vyasa asked, what are you doing? Why are you here? And asked Yudhishthira, why are you not going to the kingdom? Yudhishthira narrated the whole story. Then they told that they didn't want to go to Hastinapur and they didn't want to stay there. Then Vedavyasa told the Pandavas, I know a village called Ekachakra Nagara. There you can stay until you get the right opportunity to go back to Hastinapur. You will dress like the Brahmins. You can stay there. No one will recognize you. As advised by Vedavyasa, the Pandavas and Mother Kunti dressed like Brahmins and went to the village Ekachakra Nagara. There is one day a demon called Bakasura was living there in a dark forest who ruthlessly killed all the people. Then one day Kunti told Bhima to kill the demon. Then Bhima went to the dark forest with cart full of food and 2 buffaloes. Then the Bakasura, the demon Bakasura, was shocked to see Bhima eating the food. Then Bhima finished his food and took his mace and hit Bakasura. After a loud roar, Bakasura died. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Our next participant for today is Sujan G. Nayak of 4C.
My name is Sujan. I am from 4C. I am telling a story about the ugly duckling. Once upon a time, there was a duck. It laid 5 eggs. One day, 4 of the eggs broke, but only the 5th egg did not broke. So, Mother Duck was worried. One day, the 4th egg broke, and an ugly duckling came out of the egg. Duck was very sad. The ugly ducklings Brothers and sisters would tease him all the time. So he decided to leave that duck's family and go somewhere far. On the way, he saw a dog. The dog saw it and went away. It thought that the dog also doesn't want to eat it, and it started its journey. And it saw a beautiful river, and it gone near it. Then there came a winter. It was very cold there, and a woodcutter came and took that ugly duckling to his house to show to his wife and children. There, the ugly duckling was troubled by the cat that lived there. So the duck lived there that place and gone far. There it saw a, a very big house. It gone there. It was very dark inside. There was a grandmother with her hen and the cat. The cat told to the ugly duckling, I have many eggs. You have no any babies at all. Then the duck decided to leave that place, and it saw a river. It gone there and it saw its own reflection and it was astonished. It was not ugly anymore. It was a very beautiful duck. And in that river there were many swans. It gone to it. Thank you.
That was phenomenal. Our next participant for today is Dhanika Kaudike of 4C. Our next participant for today is Gautam Swaroop of 4D. The next participant is Karthik Amresh Bhaganagare of 4D.
Hello friends, I am Karthik Amresh Bhaganagare from 4D. I'm gonna tell you the story of three thieves. There were three thieves in a village. They used to steal a lot of gold from rich merchants' house. And villagers were trying to catch the thieves whenever they enter the house. One day, the thieves stole a lot of gold from a rich merchant's house, and then went to another place because they thought, as they stole everything from the village, they didn't need anything now. So they decided to go to another village to steal a lot of gold. In the village, by passing the forest, they accidentally, means they were feeling hungry. Later, one of the thieves went to get food from the restaurant. The thief had an evil plan. He mixed poison in the food and thought of giving it to his mates and killing them. He thought that they will eat this food and die. Then the two other mates in the forest decided to kill their own mate while coming. They thought that they could split all the gold together. All the three thieves collected their evil plans together, and then when the thief who came to the forest with the poisonous food, two of the other thieves came and beated them with the stick mercilessly. Then they started eating food of the poison food with the thief mixed, and they died. So hence it is proved that moral, evil begets evil. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Our next participant is Dhanika Kaudike of 4C.
Hello everyone,
My name is Danika and I am from class 4C, and today I am going to be telling a story which I wrote called The Dog's Fate. Once upon a time, there was a little street dog which had white fur and black ears with black spots on it and had a little black tail. It would wander on the streets looking for a home since it did not have anything. So then days went by, it didn't find any home, it didn't find a home at all, and it would just wander on the streets. So it didn't have food, so it became weak and thin. Then it realized that it didn't need a home, it just needed food, because there were many trees there, so it had shelter and water from the rivers. So it would look for food. Then one fine day, the dog's luck began to turn around. It saw a big mansion with some shelter where there was a bowl with some bones and some water in another bowl. It went there and happily ate the bones and drank the water. In the meantime, a little 5-year-old girl named Sky came and saw the dog and watched it for a few seconds. Then she went and it asked the dog, "Hello, dog. Why are you so weak and thin? And why are you so sad?" The dog whimpered and was about to run away, but then she ran after it and said, "Don't worry, dog. I will not hurt you." And she held out her hand for it to sniff. It sniffed her hand and then whimpered again. She asked it, "Why are you so weak?" It just whimpered and spun around. She said, "I do not understand what you're trying to say. Wait, I'll go tell my mother." And then she ran to find her mother. The dog obeyed. When she found her mother, she told her, Mother, there's a little dog, street dog, which needs help." And then the mother told, "Okay, let's take it to the vet." They took it to the vet, and the vet said, "So the doggy is very weak, so you have to keep it with you and feed it and take care of it." They took care of it and soon became fond of it. So they kept it and they named it Dot. Thank you. The moral of the story is, when you do kind to others, you will get a good name, and people will be thankful to you.
That was outstanding. Our next participant for today is Janya S of 4A.
Yes, my name is Janya S and I am from 4A. I'm gonna tell a story called The Bad Manners. Once upon a its name is The Bad Manners, and once upon a time there lived a small boy with his father, and then that boy was very kind and nice. Whatever his father said, he was doing the same thing, but he had some bad manners which was really bad. So his father went to an older person and he said, "My son has some bad manners. Can you please cure it?" The old man said, "Just bring him at noon tomorrow." Then the father took the son to the uh, old man to cure his bad manners. Then the old man said the small boy to have a walk in the garden. They both had a nice walk in the garden. The old man saw a small little plant and told the boy to pluck it. He easily plucked it, and then he found a little bit more bigger plant, and he said to pluck that too. And then he plucked that too easily. And then he saw a bush and told him to pluck that bush. He had a little struggle, but he plucked it easily. And then the old man found a tree and told him to pluck it. But he couldn't pluck it, it was really hard. And then the old man said, "This is what happened in bad manners. When it's just started, you can get rid of it, but when it grows up and when it gets stronger, you can never get rid of it."
Thank you, Janya. That was very nice. Our next participant is Shrijit Das Gupta of 4A.
Good evening, good afternoon. I am Srijit Dasgupta from 4A, and today I am going to tell you a story. A very expensive coconut. Once upon a time, there lived a very stingy man named Gopal. One day, he was invited to a marriage, and there he was served a very delicious dessert. What was that dessert? It was coconut barfi. He liked it so much that he wanted to have more. So he went home and asked his wife, "Can you make me some coconut barfis?" His wife replied, "Of course I can, but for that you have to bring fresh, juicy coconuts from the market." The next morning, Gopal went to the market and he saw a coconut seller sitting by the roadside. He went to the seller and asked, "How much is one coconut for?" The seller replied, "It's only rupees 20, sir." Gopal nearly fainted. Rupees 20? Rupees 20 is too expensive. Give me for a cheaper rate. The seller said, "Okay, maximum I can make it rupees 10. But for Gopal, rupees 10 was also too expensive. So Gopal said, "Okay, can you give me for rupees 5? That time the seller was upset and he told, "Okay, sir, you do one thing. You walk another 10 kilometers, you will see a seashore and there you start climbing one coconut tree and you will get a coconut for free." The word free encouraged Gopal to walk another 10 kilometers. So he walked another 10 kilometers and then he reached the seashore. He started climbing one coconut tree, but he forgot that he didn't know how to climb one. So he got stuck in the middle. Neither he could go up nor he could go down. That time he saw a horseman passing by. He asked the horseman, "Can you please help me come down of the coconut tree?" The horseman replied, "Of course I can, but for that you have to give me rupees 500. Gopal said, No, I don't need. I can come down on my own." That time after some while he was about to fall from the coconut tree and break his bone. That time he saw elephant man passing by. He asked the elephant man, "Can you please help me come down?" That time the elephant man said, "Okay, give me rupees 1000. That time ultimately with a heavy heart Gopal had to give rupees 1000 and then he came down and that time a coconut fell on his head. And thus it became a very expensive coconut. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrijit. That was very nice. Our next participant is Aditri Chiplunkar of 4B.
You didn't say the model. Ma'am, the model is we should not be greedy.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aditri, and today I'm going to tell a story called A Question of Maths. Shrimuka was a clever but poor farmer. One day, he learned that the king was passing through the road and would stay there for the night. So, he decided to present something to the king and perhaps earn a small reward. So, he took the best cock he had and presented it to the king. The king was very pleased to have such a fine bird. And he saw the clever face on Shrimuka and decided to test him. So he asked a question. "I have 6 people in my house. Me, my wife, 2 princesses and 2 princes, and you are my guest today. So that makes 7 people. How am I supposed to divide one cock among 7 people?" Shrimuka thought and said, "This is simple, Your Majesty. You are the head of the family, so you guess the head. Your wife will get the back of the cock as she is the backbone of the family. Your daughters will one day get married and go to far off lands, so they will get the wings. Your sons will follow the path you show them, so they will get the legs." "And what about you?" asked the king. "I am the guest, so I will get what is left over." The king was very happy with this answer and gave Shrimuka a gold coin. Now Shrimuka had a very jealous neighbor called Shripati. Shripati got to know that Shrimuka had been rewarded for his cock. So he decided to give the king 5 more cocks and earn a better reward. So he gave the king 5 cocks and the king asked the same question to Shripati. Shripati was dumbstruck. Who knew the king was going to ask such a difficult question? As he was counting in his fingers, the king summoned for Shrimuka. Shrimuka came and said, "Now, I am going to divide this into 3 groups. The first group will be 1 cock, the king and the queen. The second group will be 2 princesses. The third group will be 2 princes and 1 cock. And the 2 leftover cocks are for me." The king clapped with this answer and gave Shrimuka a gold coin. Then he turned to the open-mouthed Shripati and said, "This reward is not for Shrimuka's cocks, but for his intelligence. Thank you."
Thank you, Aditri. That was exceptional. Our next participant is Avni Chauti of 4B. Judges, please note that Avni Chauti is absent. Our next participant is Rachana Vinod of 4C.
The Lion and the Spring to the Life. Once upon a time, 4 friends set out to use their knowledge to earn money. While they were traveling, they came across some bones in the jungle. The 4 friends decided to test their knowledge on the bones. The first friend folded his hands and requested the bones to assemble in their original form. Now the skeleton of a powerful animal was formed. Next, it was the turn of the second friend. The second friend also folded his hands and requested for the assembly of muscle and skin. Slowly, the skeleton was covered with muscle and skin. Next, it was the turn of the third friend. Before the third friend could start his prayers, the fourth friend said, "Do not do that. Can you not see that it's a lion? If you put life in it, it will eat all of us." The third friend replied, "You are a fool. You are inimitate and you are jealous of our powers." The fourth friend hurriedly climbed a near tree by. The moment the third friend put life to the lion, it sprang and ate all of the 3 friends. Moral: education is useless without common sense, and we all should think before we do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachana. That was terrific. Our next participant is Gaurav of 4C.
I'm going to tell a story of Akbar and Birbal. One day, Akbar was preparing to go to a bath. He kept his ring outside the bathroom and went in. When he came out, he saw that his ring had vanished. He called Birbal and all his servants. He asked Birbal to figure out who stole the ring. Birbal said, "I will find out who stole the ring by tomorrow." Birbal got exactly 1 meter long sticks for everyone and said, "Whoever is the criminal who stole the ring, his stick will go 1 centimeter longer." After everyone went home, the person who had stole the ring cut 1 centimeter off the stick. So it will go back to his original size the next day. After he cut it, he went to sleep, and when he woke up, he went straight to the palace and showed Birbal that the stick had grown 1 centimeter longer. But unfortunately, it had not. Birbal said, "Why would a stick go 1 centimeter longer? You are the one who stole the ring." The moral of the story is you should never steal anyone's things. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. That was fantastic. Our next participant is Manav HG of 4D. Judges, please note that Manav is absent. Our next participant is Prapti Hegde of 4D. Judges, please note that Prapti is also absent. Our next participant is Daivik Raj AK of 4A. Judges, please note that Daivik is also absent. Our next participant is Dhriti R. Bharadwaj of 4A.
Hello everyone, my name is Dhriti and I am going to tell you a story which is called as self-medication. There is a party tomorrow at school. Steve can't go. Why? Because he is sick. He has high fever and a runny nose. He exclaims, "Oh, I can't be sick tomorrow. I must get well. Mother should not know about my sickness." Suddenly, he remembers a cure he had watched on television. He runs to the kitchen and collects all the ingredients. He collects honey, cinnamon, sugar, jam, etc. He mixes them up and gulps them down. Suddenly, he has a stomachache. He calls out, "Mother, Mother!" And then Mother comes running down. She calls the doctor and tells, "This is what happens if you become a doctor yourself." Steve was very ashamed of himself. The moral of the story is you have to take help of your parents and doctors. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhriti. That was outstanding. Our next participant is Sanvi KP of 4B.
Hello everybody, my name is Sanvi from 4B. I'm going to tell the story called The Camel Sun. Long ago, there lived a very lazy camel in the desert. If someone asked him to work, he would say hum. The other animals in the desert would feel very sad. One day, the animals in the desert went to a wizard to ask for help. The wizard asked, "Why don't you work?" The camel replied, "Hum." "Alas, to his utter amazement," said the wizard. The wizard saw something puffing like a mountain on his back. Here's your hum. Now onwards you shall work without surviving food, because you have a big hump full of fat. You can use that as food. Ever since, camels have hump on their back. Thank you. The moral of the story is we shouldn't be lazy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanvi. That was excellent. Our next participant is Diya Rakesh Shetty of 4C.
I was about to tell the same story called The Question of Maths. I was about to say the same story.
It's okay, you can continue.
I am Diya Rakesh Shetty from class 4C. I am going to tell a story called A Question of Maths. Srimukha was a clever but poor farmer. One day, when he heard that the king would be coming to town, he decided to present the king with a gift and perhaps earn a small reward. Next day, he presented the king with his finest cock and said, "Here is a gift." The king was pleased to receive such a fine bird. Then he saw the intelligent look on Srimukha's face and said, "In my family, I have my wife, my daughters, 2 daughters, 2 sons, and you are my guest today. Tell me, how will I divide this one cock amongst all the people?" Srimukha thought for a while and said, It's easy. You are the head of the family, so you will get the head of the cock. Your wife is the backbone of the family, so she will get the back of the cock. Your two daughters will one day get married and go away. That's why they should get the wings of the cock. And what about you? Asked the king. I will get whatever is left over, as I am just a guest. The king was pleased with this answer and presented Srimukha with a gold coin. Now Srimukha had a foolish neighbor, Shripati. When he heard about the reward, he became very jealous. He decided to present the king with 5 cocks and earn 5 pieces of gold. The next day, when he came with the cocks, the king asked him the same question. How will I divide all these cocks amongst all the people in my family? Shripati was dumbstruck. Who knew the king would ask such a difficult question? As he stood there trying to count on his fingers, the king called for Shrimukha. The clever farmer quickly worked out the answer and said, We will divide everybody into groups of 3. The king, the queen, and 1 cock will be in one group. The 2 princesses and 1 cock will be in one group. The 2 princes and 1 cock will be in another group. The 2 princes and 1 cock will be in another group. And I, along with 2 cocks, will be in another group. That way, I will have 2 cocks. The king was delighted with this answer and presented Srimukha with some more rewards. Then he turned to Shripati, who stood there open-mouthed, still counting on his fingers. The coins are rewards for Srimukha's intelligence, not the cocks, he explained gently. Thank you.
Thank you, Dia. That was remarkable. Our next participant is Kishika Basi of 4C.
Hello everyone, my name is Kishika Basti from 4C and today I am going to tell a tale. The Tortoise and the Rabbit. Once upon a time there lived a tortoise and a rabbit. They both were good friends. They used to meet and play every day. The rabbit was one day the rabbit was boasting about how fast he could run. He was laughing at the tortoise for being so slow. The tortoise challenged him a race. As soon as the race began, the rabbit raced really fast and reached the halfway point and left the tortoise behind, just like everyone thought. The rabbit reached the halfway point and saw that the tortoise was not at the back. He was tired and took a short nap. The tortoise kept walking that time. The tortoise reached the finishing point, and as the rabbit woke up, he could not see the tortoise anywhere and ran really fast to see where's the tortoise. He saw that the tortoise was waiting at the finishing point. So the moral of the story is slow and sight wins the race. Thank you.
Thank you, Kishika. That was amazing. Our next participant is Rabia Fatima of 4D.
Good morning, teachers. I am Rabia Fatima from class 4D. I am going to present a story, The Ant and the Duck. One day, a thirsty ant went down to a river, drink some water. But it slipped and fell into the water. It did not know how to swim and was about to drown. A dove sitting on a tree nearby saw the ant in danger. She quickly plucked a leaf and dropped into the water close to the ant. The ant climbed onto it and flowed safely to the bank of the river. Some days later, a hunter came to the forest. He saw the bird and aimed his gun at it. The ant also saw the hunter. Just as he was about to fire, the ant bit him in the foot. The pain moved the hunter. The hunter missed his aim. The dove had heard the noise and flew away safely. Thank you, everyone. The moral of the story is we should help each other.
Well done, Rabia. Our next participant is Ritika Bangaru P of 4D.
Hello everybody, this is Ritika Bangaru from 4D. Today I'll be narrating a story. The Unlucky Face. There was once an old servant named Yusuf in Emperor Akbar's palace. He was a good and kind man, but everybody thought seeing his face brought bad luck. One day, Emperor Akbar bumped into Yusuf the first thing in the morning. Oh dear, I hope I don't have a bad day now, he thought and frowned at Yusuf. Unfortunately, 5 minutes later, the emperor slipped and fell. Soon a messenger came rushing with the news that his beloved grandson was very ill. He ran. Akbar ran to his son and was relieved to find that it was only a slight cold. Then, later that day, he was informed that there was a problem with his enemies at the border. To make things worse, he didn't even like the food that was prepared that day. He was feeling very grumpy indeed. This is all Yusuf's fault. I was unlucky to see his face the first thing in this morning. The angry emperor ordered that this man should be thrown to the jail. Let nobody see his face ever again. Luckily for Yusuf, he met Birbal at the way to prison. You must help me, sir, he pleaded in tears. Birbal agreed and they both went back to Akbar. Your Majesty, this man is innocent. Let me ask him some questions and you will see yourself. He asked the poor man, who was the first person you saw this morning? The terrified Yusuf replied, I first saw the emperor's face. Birbal said to Akbar, so you see, your highness, you said that your day was bad because you saw his face the first thing in the morning. He continued, your misfortunes were very small. But Yusuf, who saw your face the first thing in the morning, is now being thrown to the jail. So whose face is unlucky? Yours or his? Yours or his? Birbal cleverly asked. And Akbar understood what Birbal was trying to say. Oh yes, I was foolish to accuse such an innocent man. Yusuf was set free and Akbar thanked Birbal. And once again, Birbal saved the life. The moral: you should not believe in superstitious things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ritika. That was outstanding. Our next participant is Rishabh RMP of 4A.
Yes, hello everybody. I am Rishabh. I am going to tell an interesting story. Once upon a time, there was a teacher called Mrs. Cooper. She was the class teacher of class 4. Mrs. Cooper asked the class to bring something interesting so they can talk about it. Many children have bought a calculator, fire-like spider, twig-like stick insects. But James did not know what to bring the class something interesting. The next day, Mrs. Cooper asked James, James brought matchbox and opened it. He acted that something has fallen down. Then Mrs. Cooper asked to James, "What are you finding?" He said he's looking for that six-legged creature, and many children panicked and ran away. And they started finding, including the teacher. So James made the whole class interesting. James actually acted. He brought something interesting to the class. By John Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh. That was terrific. Our next participant is Rituparna Ashwin of 4D.
Today I will be telling you a story about a magical dog named Dot the dog. One day, Dot got tired of being a brown dog. So he said, "I'm Dot the dog, I'm funny and fuzzy, I can change my colors just like that." So Dot turned into a blue dog. Dot went walking down to the pond to look at himself, but he fell in. When Dribble the turtle took him back to shore, he thought he didn't want to be a blue dog anymore. So he said, "I'm Dot the dog, I'm funny and fuzzy, I can change my colors just like that." So Dot turned into a pink dog. He went walking down the road and all the other animals started laughing at him. And he thought he didn't want to be a pink dog anymore. So he said, "I'm Dot the dog, I'm funny and fuzzy, I can change my colors just like that." So Dot turned into a black dog. One night he was playing with his friends, but they couldn't see him. So he thought orange was the new black. So he said, "I'm Dot the dog, I'm funny and fuzzy, I can change my colors just like that." So he turned into an orange dog. The next morning, he went walking down the woods and he bumped into his cousin, Foxy the Fox. Foxy the Fox said, "I'm the only one allowed to be orange. Change your color." So Dot thought he didn't want to be an orange dog anymore. So he turned back into a brown dog, because being yourself is the best thing one can be. We should like ourselves just the way we are. I wrote this story myself, inspired by Dr. James's Cat the Cat. Thank you.
Thank you, Rituparna. That was amazing. Our next participant is Safura of 4D.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Safurabi. I'm studying in class 4. I'm going to tell about a moral of a story. One there was a parrot in the jungle. She lived in a nest on the mango tree. One day she thought going to humming to eat. One day she saw a hunter, so it is humming to shoot her, so she flew away. The hunter was there humming to shoot her. One day she saw the bear from the warmer thing. So she fell the mango tree. From one mango, she fell down with a bear. She ran to attack to the hunter. She friended to, so she ran quickly. Oh, it is not. Then she was shooting. So then it was The hunter was smaller. The hunter fell down, so he ran quickly. The horse was going to tell something else, so he also ran quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Safura. That was very nice. Our next participant is Shriya S of 4D.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shriya S. I'm from class 4D. Today, my story is The Three Questions. Once there was a king who was wondering about three questions. And what are these three questions? One, which is when is the right time to do anything? Two, who is the most important person? And three, what is the most noble thing to do? Many learned men from the kingdom tried to give their answers to the king, but the king was not pleased with any of them. One of them suggested the king goes to the forest where the wise old hermit lives, and he can help the king answer the three questions. The king, disguised in the dresses of a common man, set off to the forest. When he came to the forest, the hermit recognized him, greeted him, and went back to work. The king asked his three questions, but the hermit did not reply. After a while, the hermit grew tired of plowing the land. The king asked if he could help. While he was plowing the land, a wounded bird fell into that land where they were plowing. The king and the hermit immediately rushed to help the bird and nursed it back to health. By all of this, the king was tired in the end of the day and went to sleep. Next day morning, when he woke up, he asked the three questions to the hermit again. The hermit replied this time, "Oh, my dear king, you already have the answers to your three questions." The king was surprised, and the hermit explained. The answer to your first question, which is when is the right time to do anything, and the answer to that question is now. Only because you plowed the land yesterday, I'm able to sow the seeds now. Your second question, which is who is the most important person, and the answer to that question is the most important person is the person you're with. And the answer to your final and last question, which is what is the most noble thing to do, and the answer to that question is be good to others. The king was very pleased with all these answers and went to his kingdom happily. Thank you.
Thank you, Shriya. That was fantastic. The next participant is Shishir Shailesh of 4D.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to narrate a story called The Mouse Merchant. Once there was a young man wandering in Varanasi looking for work. And the treasurer talking to his friend about how a young man with initiality could make a business. And a young man with initiality could pick up a dead mouse and make a business. And the treasurer pointed at the dead mouse. The young man picked up the dead mouse and walked on. Then he met a merchant who purchased the dead mouse for his pussycat. With the money he had got for the dead mouse, he went and bought some water. With that water, he gave that water to the flower gatherers and the grass cutters, who gave him some flowers and some grass in return. Now, with that money, he bought some sweets and gave it to some children who were playing outside the royal garden. And the children were ready to do anything for the young man. So the young man asked them for a favor. And the young man asked them to clean up the royal garden, which was full of sticks. When the royal garden was cleaned, the royal gardener was very pleased with the young man and gave him a reward and told him to get out before the king came. So the young man took that money and went away. And he then got to know that the horse dealer was coming to town tomorrow. So he went to his friends, the grass cutters, and told them not to sell grass to anyone tomorrow. And he bought all the grass from the grass cutters. And he opened only his shock of grass. When the horse dealer arrived, he didn't see grass anywhere. But he then spotted the youth with his little shop. He bought all the grass from the young man and asked him to load the grass into his, onto his transport. And then now the young man had become a mouse merchant. He then went to the treasurer and gave some money. The treasurer was surprised because he hardly knew who the man was. The young man then explained everything, and the treasurer was very pleased with the young man's intelligence. He married the young man to his daughter, and they lived happily ever after. The end.
Thank you, Shishir. Well done. Our next participant is Sriram Ram Kumar of 4D.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's dive into a story that will last the impression in you forever. A hamburger sat on a hamburger bar, waiting to be fried. No one is going to put me into anyone's inside, the hamburger told, and then it jumped down. Because eating me is cruel, eating me is murder, you can't catch me, I'm the speedy hamburger. The hamburger started running down the street. The chef said, "Hey, come back, you little hamburger," and started chasing the hamburger. The hamburger whispered to himself, "Eating me is cruel, eating me is murder. You can't catch me, I'm the speedy hamburger." Hamburger ran through. Who was the first person Hamburger happened to meet? Yes, Lollipop Lady with lollipop on her hand, walking home. The hamburger screamed, "No other way! I'm coming through!" The hamburger came down. "Catch that hamburger!" screamed the chef. So the lollipop lady turned and gave Hamburger a shout. "Hey, little hamburger, you can't run away." So the chef and the lollipop lady started chasing the hamburger. Who is the second person Hamburger happened to meet? It's the lemonade boy was loading the lemonade bottles on the van. "Move aside," Hamburger screamed. So the lemonade boy saw that the cook and the lollipop lady were chasing the hamburger and started chasing too. Hamburger cook, lollipop lady, and the lemonade boy started chasing after the hamburger. Hamburger, ahoy!" Hamburger rolled, hamburger ran, hamburger couldn't be caught. Hamburger rolled, hamburger ran right into an airport. "Stop right there," said the guard. "Where do you think you're going?" "I'm just a little hamburger and I don't know where to go." For a minute it stood, and then it walked fast and onto the going to the terminal and onto the runway and got onto the airplane which was taking off to Jamaica. People who were there, they could hear a voice coming out. "Eating me is cruel, eating me is murder, you can't catch me, I'm the speedy hamburger." The moral of the story is the personified hamburger taught us a lesson that to not kill animals for meat. for meat. Story written by Michael Rosen. Narrated and illustrated by Sriram Ram Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you, Sriram. That was phenomenal. The next participant is Taksha Suresh Kumar of 4D.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taksha Suresh Kumar from grade 4. I believe everyone must have heard of Ramayana. It is one of the largest ancient epics in world literature. It narrates the life of Rama, the legendary prince of Ayodhya. Many important characters appear in this great epic. And today, I am going to tell the story of a squirrel and earn the love and praise of Lord Rama. The story of squirrel goes this way. Ravana had abducted Sita and took her to Lanka. There was a massive ocean that Rama had to cross to get Sita back. The entire Varnasena, army of monkeys, and all their animals also started helping Lord Rama to make a bridge that would take them to Lanka. Rama was deeply moved by the dedication and passion of his entire army. He noticed that a tiny squirrel was also working so tirelessly. The squirrel picked up tiny stones in her mouth and kept putting them near the boulders. The squirrel's enthusiasm was destroyed by a monkey, and he made fun of her, saying that she should stay away from the boulders or she would crush. Seeing the monkey laugh, all the other animals also started making fun of the little squirrel. The squirrel was hurt and started crying. The upset squirrel went running to Rama and complained about the whole incident. Rama assembled everyone and showed them how the pebbles thrown by the little squirrel was connecting two boulders. He also stated that no contribution is small or big. What matters is intent and devotion. Appreciating the hard work and effort of the squirrel, Rama laughingly stroked the squirrel's back. The gentle stroke left 3 stripes on the squirrel's back. It is believed before this incident, squirrels did not have stripes on their bodies. What we learn from this story? This teaches a great moral for us, which helps us recognize the importance of both small and big efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Taksha. That was awesome. Our final participant for today is Avni Chauti of 4B.
Yes. I'm gonna tell this story, The Mystery of a Title. In a village somewhere lived 2 thieves. One was called Crook and the other was called Major Crook. Crook was a big built man and a very good wrestler. He could jump on anybody and make him cry for mercy. Major Crook, on the other hand, was a puny, thin man. Now, Crook was quite envious of the other's title. Why should he be called Major Crook? He often wondered to himself, what does he have that I don't? Still, there was nothing he could do about it. Titles of this kind are a matter of public opinion after all. One day, Major Crook got the news that a rich trader in a village some 2 days away journey had struck a good deal and kept the money at his house. He set off to that village to rob the man. Crook met him on his way back. Looking at his bulging pockets, Crook guessed that Major Crook had successfully carried out his raid. He decided to relieve him from his loot, so he accompanied him. They traveled together on the road, politely speaking of this and that. At nightfall, they found a room on a roadside hostelry and spread their blankets to sleep. Major Crook was soon snoring. Crook thought this was his chance to search Major Crook's bed and clothes for the money he was sure had, but he could not find it anywhere. Not even a single coin did he find. Next morning, Major Crook soon got ready to leave, and Crook saw that his pockets were bulging again. He wondered where Major Crook had hidden the money and the previous night, but just could not think of a place they that he had hidden. Anyway, they continued on their journey together. Once again, they had to spend a night at a hostelry, and like the previous night, Major Crook went to sleep first. This time, too, Crook searched Major Crook's bed and clothes carefully. He even ran his hand over the rafters at the windowsill, but his search was fruitless. The next day, when they were ready to leave, he saw Major Crook had bulging pockets once again. Soon, talking of this and that, they reached the village, and Major Crook's two huge friends met them at the village entrance. As they were parting, Crook asked Major Crook, "These last 2 nights, I spent a lot of time looking for the money you had hidden. I'm sure you've got it. Where did you hide it?" "Ah," said Major Crook, "I hid it under your pillow for sure. I was sure you would not hide. Look there." Crook then realized why the other was called Major Crook by everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Avani. That was splendid. That brings us to the end of today's event. Thank you to all the participants for making the event so mesmerizing. A big thank you to our judges, Mrs. Anuradha and Mrs. Pubali, and the audience members on YouTube. The first event for tomorrow is Recite a Poem, which begins at 9.